Why is it that when they were campaigning in opposition, why is it that they were not using chartered aircrafts? W. Chidako, how many times did I not meet him in commercial aircrafts? The president himself, how many times did we all not meet in commercial aircrafts? They carry themselves with such pomposity, as if, they are even doing us a favor, coming to serve Ghanaians. And that we don't know the value of anything, we only know the cost of everything. Why were they not using chartered aircrafts before they came to power? I challenge them to show us one instance, just one instance, where they went for a chartered luxury aircraft for a family trip abroad. Because we give you the mandate to be president, and you promise to protect the public purse, you think it's licensed to engage in such recklessness, and you have the audacity, the effrontery, to question our right to speak against this. You are raping the public purse, stealing our money. Actually, is what is going on. It's so annoying, so annoying. Why were they not using chartered aircrafts in private life? They actually even should have owned one. Why don't they own a private aircraft? The chief mafia should have owned one. If this aircraft, we shouldn't talk about the value, is no big deal. Because what he suggests is it's no big deal. We have lost focus. Why don't they have, the family, why don't they have a luxury aircraft, the Boeing 737? Why don't they have one? Or the ACJ 320 Neo? Why haven't they had one all these years in private life when they've been trying to be president? Why don't they have one? And they are now coming to use the taxpayers' money at our expense to live like Arabian kings. Even Arabian kings will be envious the way they are living at our expense. Please, they really get on our nerves.
So that should take us to some 10 minutes past 4 here in the studios of Radio Gold 90.5 FM. And a good afternoon to you wherever you are. You're watching us live on Radio Gold 905 FM on Facebook, Radio Gold Live TV on YouTube, also Radio Gold 90.5 FM on any of the streaming apps. It can be Tuning, it can be Garden Radio, it can be the Radio Gold 90.5 FM app. All of those are apps through which you can watch us. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon on the NDC Professionals Forum Hour. And this afternoon we are discussing 3 issues. One of them is what I was just, we briefly did a playback of an interview that we had with Honorable Samuel Kujeto Ablakwa. The second time he raised the issue of the president using a luxurious private jet on his flight to Germany, or on his trip to Germany. Now, we are also hearing that on his trip to the UN, he did same. He actually used a presidential jet to Guinea when they went to visit Guinea with a delegation that included the Ivorian president, Alassane Ouattara. He flew the jet back to Ghana and then came to pick a luxurious jet, the same one he took to Germany, and took it to the US. So during his time at the United Nations, he has been using that jet. So there's some more cost to us. And Honorable Kujeto Ablakwa has been raising that issue once again, drawing our attention to the fact that, well, the president is not stopping. He's continuing essentially. A lot has not been said from the side of the president as to why he continues to engage in that. They have not put up any defense. The last time there was a defense, that was when it was badly bundled, and the defense minister ended up saying he was showering, and then he started using some other words in place of showering. We have seen the inside of that jet. They've not denied that the way it looks, but we've also been hearing sort of a very steady defense from a member of the Council of State, very well known, lawyer Samuel Kujeto, who has also been responding sort of, because everybody is wondering at this time when these issues are being raised, one of the things you want to hear is what our elders think and what they've been telling the president. Have they been drawing his attention to the fact that the public is not happy about the decisions he's making in terms of his travel? Well, he has been speaking to that. We'll spend some time. I'll play back to you. At some point in the conversation. But there's another conversation we'll be having that has to do with the MMDC situation. Now we have a list of MMDCs nominated across this country. The Yendi nominee was rejected. He got 50% though, which means he still has a chance of winning. Well, so that's an interesting one. In Greater Accra, the lady that was put forward, Elizabeth Saki, is said not to be or have ever been or worked anywhere near the area that is designated at Accra Metropolitan Assembly. And so we do not know what will happen. Ironically, when it comes to party issues of party politics, it is said that majority of assembly members within that area are aligned towards the opposition. They are active members and non-members of the opposition party. So there's a lot of work to be done in that area. There are several other areas where they've been stressed that we will actually oppose the president's choice. Interestingly, we've also been reading the vetting committee report, the group that was said to have been tasked to do a thorough job. That's how come they waited 9 months to release the report. A thorough job, make sure the right people are picked. That group, the report of that group, and it is found that in a lot of the places, the president decided on people that were not recommended by that committee. So we're wondering if you really knew who you were going to nominate. Why waste our time? We could have done that several months ago. Well, so it's also one of the things we'll be spending some time on, and the impact on the local governance, and then we'll end with the very interesting issue of the disappeared and reappeared pregnant woman, alleged pregnant woman, who now says she's not pregnant, who was pregnant, who disappeared with a pregnancy, came back with nothing, with blood stains on her clothes. The minister said, oh, it's fake. We roasted the minister. After a few days, the curses were even pronounced on the minister. People actually pronounced curses on the minister. They did all that. After a few days, we are back to that point where the lady has admitted, well, I was really not pregnant, and my husband did not know about it. It's amazing how somebody can fake a pregnancy for 9 months, because that's how many months old the husband said the pregnancy was. I am not so sure, but let's see how we can balance it. So let's start on that very interesting. I'm hoping that we're going to spend a shorter time on that. But let me just welcome in my panel for today. Very well known to me. I've hosted them a couple of times on the show. So let me start with Mr. Eric Wajato. A good evening to you, and wonderful to see you today.
Good evening, sir. I'm glad to be on your program.
I hope you're well. I hope you're well, sir.
Hello, I can hear you.
Yes, and I was asking...
Oh, I'm well, thank you.
Yeah, we thank God. So I also have Honorable Kodobi, sir, on the line. I also have Justice Aheto on the line, Dr. Justice Moses Aheto. So I'll come back to you, Mr. Eric Wajato. Since this has to do with issues of security predominantly. Doc, can you hear me? Dr. Justice Aheto, can you hear me? Okay, I don't think Doc can hear me. So let me jump to Honorable Kodobi, sir. He is a former municipal chief executive for who? Municipal. Honorable, I hope you're well. And a good evening.
Yes, I'm well. Yeah, good evening to you and my co-panelists.
Well, I want to start today's discussion from that issue of what happened in Takrady. I don't know whether you've been following the story. What are your thoughts on what has transpired over the period?
Yeah, good evening once again to yourself and the co-panelists and to all our listeners out there. On the Takrady issue, I should say that yes, I've been listening and then following some of the issues concerning the disappearance and reappearance of the lady in Western, that's Josephine Penning Mensah, who was allegedly kidnapped and disappeared from her house, and also the wading in of the regional minister to say that the lady has not been kidnapped, and from his sources, he has gathered that the lady feigned the kidnapping, and that attracted a whole lot of cases and insults, which were rained on the regional minister. And so we will say that we are, first, it was in a state of panic, shock, and fear, because Takrady is noted for such incidents, with the missing of the 3 or 4 Takrady girls in focus. And we all know the role that the former director of CID, that is Tiwa Dodankwa, played in that episode. And so one would think that the focus being on Takrady again, then there's something serious happening over there. And so even as of now, I cannot put my finger on the side of the police, which is saying that the lady has confessed not being pregnant, and that she faked the pregnancy and the whole story of abduction with the mother and the husband, alike. Without hearing from the horse's own mouth, that is the woman herself, I have not listened to the lady herself making this confession. Some people can make such confessions under duress. You may not know, especially when police can tell us that we know where the girls are, they are in safe hands, and very soon they will be reunited with their parents, only for us to learn later that. And so we are taking this with a pinch of salt, thinking that there must be a thorough investigation into this, which particular body I cannot tell now, because the police on whom we will rely also have a record of not being reliable in some of these cases. And then the regional minister also jumping in as the head of the regional security, council or committee, further muddied the waters, because even if the police should have a contrary view, report, or version of what the regional minister has already come out to say, it will be very difficult for the police now to come and contradict the story of the regional minister. If you follow the story carefully, you now have more than 3-4 versions of the story. One coming from the woman herself, corroborated by his immediate family, that's the husband, and then the mother, and other people in the neighborhood or in the community. And then we also have that of the regional minister, which is saying it is not true that he had his sources from, the hospital where the doctors conducted tests on the woman to prove that she wasn't really pregnant. And then we have the police who are also saying that yes, the lady faked the pregnancy, and the report which is in their hand indicates that she was not pregnant and was also not abducted. And by her own confession, they have come to the realization that the whole episode was faked. Then you have the aide to the regional minister, who also came in to say that the regional minister has really released, money as a ransom to the police to facilitate the release of the woman, which the police have now denied flatly. So one will wonder how we could put all these things together to get the correct position of what has happened and what is happening. And so that is still a mystery to be unraveled. And who to unravel it, I think should still remain a public discussion so that we can arrive at the bottom of this case to ward off the constant fear and panic that the story has generated, because we know what Takrady will be made of. The state, they say we shouldn't even say that it's in a high gear of insecurity. Today, you have broad day robbery of gangsters who can open, car doors in traffic and then take their money. Bullion vans, the police being killed and the money being taken away, and all these murder cases of foreign journalists themselves, and they say they are isolated cases. When things are becoming rampant like this, I cannot fathom how we could describe this as isolated cases.
Mr. Kwadobisa, we'll come to the issue of the implications of what we are hearing now. But on this particular story, one of the issues, you spoke about the side of the regional minister. He was speaking also in his capacity as the head of the chair of the Regional Security Council. You've had the privilege of serving as a municipal chief executive, so which means that you also used to chair the Municipal Security Council. Exactly. In this kind of situations, what kind of, because he mentioned the BNI, what kind of intelligence reports do you get? How do you handle them? Where did he fail, among others?
Yeah, a sensitive nature of this type or of this magnitude, when it happens, you first want to meet your security couples so that they can set investigation machinery underway to see whether they can unravel the perpetrators or the mystery surrounding the whole incident. And so you hold behind the door meeting with your security couples, where the police, the BNI, the National Security, National Intelligence Bureau, all of them will, give you or you set them into action to try and see what has actually happened. If they have come up with a report that you discuss at your meeting, for me, perhaps not in the standard way, I may say, but what we do is that we allow maybe the police to give public briefing on the issue. And thereafter, if you are interviewed by journalists as the head of the security committee, what are your thoughts or inputs into this? Then from there, you can also make a comment which may not contradict what the security arm of the investigation body will come up with, so that you will be on the same wavelength. But if you jump the fray and you come out first to say something that contradicts the facts on the ground, it becomes difficult then for the security apparatus to contradict your part of the statement. But I am not too surprised, because they say the fish starts getting rotten from the head. If you see the style of our president, if anything happens, he quickly jumps to form a committee to investigate. And before the committee comes out with its report, the president himself comes out, jumps the gun, and then pronounces his verdict that the person is clean. He has not committed anything. And that ties the hand of the security apparatus behind them, in the sense that if they have a contrary version of what the president has already come out to say, that the person has not done anything, he hasn't committed any crime, and that he's clean, he should go. What then will the investigative body now come to say to contradict the president? So it is the same way that the head of the regional security has come out already. And so even if there should be anything contrary to what he has said, it will be very difficult for the security. So I would have wished that he took his patience, he took his time, and allowed the security arm of the committee to, brief the public first, so that he then can be interviewed if he so wish to talk on the issue. Then he can elaborate what has happened as per his briefing by the security in charge. This is what I think should have happened in that case.
Mr. Wajato, I don't know what you think about what has happened so far, but there's also the suggestion that it looks like the investigations will really never be thorough enough, because the regional minister, through his interview, has already perhaps brought the matter to closure before we even got to the point of closure.
Well, thank you for this opportunity, and I say hello to my co-panelists. Permit me to use the opportunity to express our sincere condolence to the entire body of the NDC chapter in USA, and also of Pro Forum, on the demise of our dear sister Jigbodi. Having said that, I have a mother, I have a wife, and I have two beautiful daughters. So when we are talking about matters of this nature, I am a bit circumspect, because there is so much out there that we do not know. And the kind of faux pas that, from the regional minister to the police and all, the lady herself, her mother and all are going on, it is very difficult to really put your finger on exactly what is happening. But let me just take it from what is known in the public domain. Much has been said, but as everybody is pointing to, and I'm glad Honorable the Kodobisia has actually raised some of the issues, because the fact of the matter is that I think that the regional minister has jumped the gun. I don't know why he is acting as the spokesperson for whatever investigations or procedures are going on. We know that initially the police sent out about 40 men to go out and go and look for this lady when it was said that she was or she had been kidnapped or something to that effect. And I know that with the case of the 4 Takrady girls still hunting them, they wanted to put their best foot forward and try and show how proactive and responsive they could possibly be. But I think that after that, every information that has come out has been more confusing than the last. And it really asks that, why would this woman want to do that when she already has a 2-year-old kid with her husband? What is the desperation? Personally, and this is a personal view of mine, I sincerely believe that somebody is hiding something. And that person who is hiding something would eventually be found out. Because look, who paid the 3,000? We are told by the PA to the minister, the regional minister, the regional minister paid the 3,000. The question is, to whom? Because yesterday on Newsfile, I might not get his rank right, but let me just say, the head of the police public affairs unit came out to say categorically that the police service is not aware of that 3,000. So where did that 3,000 story come? Who was it paid to? The gentleman's name is Kwesi Ofori. It is his grade that I'm not too sure. He's a deputy commissioner of police or something. He says that, yes, he said about this 3,000. ACP, very good, thank you. Tell me, was this money paid at the police station? Was it paid at the district police headquarters? Or was it paid at the regional headquarters? Where was this money paid? The PA to the minister should come and tell us. And what was it paid for? And eventually, to whom was it paid finally? How was the drop made? Do they know who the kidnappers actually are? You know, and if the lady is now being said to have kidnapped herself and faked this pregnancy all this time. I mean, I believe in the adage that you can you can fool all the people some of the time. And you can fool some of the people all of the time. But you cannot fool all the people all the time. For this lady to have fooled her mother, her mother-in-law, her husband, her friends, the people in their community for 9 months. I mean, there is more to it than this. We do not have the full story yet. And I'm sure that there's so much more to come out of this. My personal conviction, and this I'm sharing with you, is that this story is a cooked up story by the MPP machinery to try and douse the flame or the passion or the energy that the fixed the country demonstration came up with. So anytime they're under pressure, they come with some story that seems to rival it or overshadow it, and then they try and douse that fix the country demonstration fever. That was
Mr. Wajadu, what convinces you that is the case? Because you're talking about...
Okay, number one. Yeah, number one. I mean, and all these are allegations that we are putting out our feelers into the community ourselves to try and find out. Is it true that this lady is a deputy constituency women's organizer of the MPP? That is a question that we need to find out.
A deputy constituency organizer of the MPP? Constituency women's organizer?
Deputy constituency women organizer of the MPP. It has been all over social media. It's been in some of the papers. So I'm saying it is being alleged. So I'm saying that we put our feelers in there to go and find out certain truths and come back. You see, people drop all sorts of information, but nobody goes out there to substantiate it. So right now we have so many pockets of info. It is difficult fixing it together. The puzzle is not, there are too many missing pieces. And it is worrisome because, you know, we've had this issue in Takrady with the women before, these 4 missing girls. And we know what the police told us. Oh, we know where they are. Oh, very soon they'll be coming home. And all this, you see, so it has dented their credibility. So that is why for this case, they want to finish it up as soon as possible, by any means necessary, whether by concocting stories or by trying to, you know, massage. I mean, this is not good. It's not good for the image of the police. With the new IGP that has come in place and the work that he's done so far, he's received a lot of commendation. He's put a lot of hope. I hope that the old structures do not, you know, clamp him down and consume him in these kind of activities. It is most unfortunate, but really, I am sure that there's so much more that is going to come out of this. And we have not heard the last of this issue. And the surprise is that almost every other day, a new facet, a new, you know, dimension to this story evolves. Our ears are on the ground.
I'm also wondering where the new information is going to come from. Because it looks like once the regional minister granted that interview, the police has been running with time to try and perhaps put together some information that will essentially corroborate what the regional minister has said, because they themselves issued a statement a day later. So where would we get that information from? The information that you believe that they are trying to hide?
You see, for example, this 3,000, Chief, where did it come from? The regional minister, who did he pay it to? For what? Was it a drop-off somewhere? Did somebody come and receive it? Or I mean, look, because they just said, oh, the regional minister paid the 3,000 ransom for a release. He paid it to who? Is the question that we're asking. I don't know whether that information has come out to whom that money was paid. And eventually that information needs to come out so that then we can start linking up the dots. Are you with me?
Yes, I'm with you. Well,
and that's just one. You know, the stories are not jiving. You know, they are too disconnected. You know, and anytime the regional minister drops something, as you rightly said, I see the police trying to, you know, do everything to try and corroborate whatever story the regional minister has come out with. I was disappointed in the fact that the regional minister came out that early to start talking. He is not the spokesperson for the police service. Yes, he might be the head of the regional RegSec, but it is not for him to come and give out information when the police, as at then, were still conducting their investigations. As at then, had they found the lady? As at then, had they determined that she was not pregnant? As at then, had they determined that she had virtually kidnapped herself? So who was the money paid to? Was the money paid to her for what? Was the money paid to her to fake the kidnapping? Or was the money paid to her as a reward or compensation for going on with the plan to come up with this pregnancy and all that, so that it will douse the fire of the fix the country, or what? You know, there are too many questions out there.
Well, let me see if I can get Dr. Ahead now. Doc, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Sena.
Doc,
I can hear you.
yes, Doc. I'm guessing you've been following the conversation. Do you agree that no matter how this investigation concludes, there will still be so many unanswered questions?
Thank you very much, Sena. And I also want to use the opportunity to, extend our condolence to the body's family in the U.S. for the demise of the body. And then now coming straight to the question, I'm the number one who already established the fact that the conclusion based on this investigation will finish all right, but there'll be thousands of questions that will not be answered at the end of the investigation. Mark it down. One, we all know that the regional minister, he is the leader of the Regional Security Council, under whom we have the police, the PNI, the national security, and other security agencies in the country, in the region. And normally what is done by the protocol is that the police will be in charge of the investigation, heavily supported by the PNI, the national security, and even sometimes some private detectives are included in this assignment. But all these persons have to, put their report together, then they can look at it holistically together and then decide the way forward. The regional minister is not in charge of any investigation. He will only supervise or oversee the investigation process. So at any time, he can only be briefed as to if the police and other species are picking up some leads that can lead to the recovery or uncovering of the situation. But yet, what we are seeing now, it appears the regional minister has taken over the investigation, and the regional minister has already paid a ransom. This is where I will pin him down. The ransom are normally paid after you have identified, for instance, this about the kidnapping or abducting someone, or maybe somebody missing and you're looking for the person. So there are security ways, there are two things involved. Either you pay ransom to those who claim they are the one kidnapping the person and that the person is in their possession, and giving certain amount of money or any other resource or any other agreement, they'll be willing to release the person. And what that means is that for you to pay a ransom, definitely you will have been in contact with those who might have carried out the act. There's no data about this one.
So
For you to say you're going to pay
for the sake of emphasis, your suggestion is that if they did pay a ransom, then they would first have confirmed that the kidnapping was genuine and that people were actually keeping the pregnant woman in question.
Exactly so. Ask anyone who has a training in security and intelligence country. They will tell you the same story. For you to make a ransom, you have established the identity of the person you're looking for. And you have also established the fact that the person is under somebody's control against their will. And you have also discussed how much money or how you are going to reach and agree with the person who is adapting the person or who is keeping the person against the person's will. And you reach an agreement that this is the price one needs to pay for that person to be freed. It's only then if you pay out ransom. I am aware other security agents are listening to this program. And you can talk to them. They will tell you the same thing. You have established the fact and confirmed without any doubt that the person which you're looking for was found. And that the person is under the custody of those who might have adopted the person. And that those who adopted the person actually really put out their demands. That if you're able to meet ABC demands from us, we will let the person come back to you. And it is only upon that one can go ahead and pay a ransom. Because a ransom is paid to an individual, it's not paid to the air. A ransom is paid to an individual and it's not paid to the air or the wind or water. It's paid to a human being. So even by now, the security agency together with the regional minister should be telling us who actually was the lead for them to actually finally identify that the missing person is.
Hello, Doc. Hello, Doc.
Is an informant to be getting all this shit by now? But I hear around who was the money paid to? Was it paid to police who forwarded it to the kidnappers or the adapters? Or the regional minister gave it to one of his boys to go and pay to someone somewhere secretly? Or was the money sent to the woman's family and they sent the money to whoever adopted her? It definitely will not be possible because once the minister has paid the money, he definitely knew and he's aware who the kidnappers could.
Doc, well, it seems Dr. Ahetu is on the move, so we keep losing him. His network just keeps getting worse. I think what we can do is we'll try and get him. We'll try and get Doc back so that we can conclude. Hello, Doc.
Exactly, yes. Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so your point, first point, that first point is clear. Which other issue do you think still has been still needs to be settled?
Another issue that needs to be settled is the fact that in Ghana it is criminal act to hold somebody in your custody against the person's will. The police and the regional minister to be telling us how they are getting ready to get these adapters or prosecuted. We want to know. That's the next one. This has never been done yet. We want to know that one. The next question that remains unanswered is the fact that
the point you just made is you are also ignoring the fact that the same people are saying this was faked. If it was faked, how do you arrest anybody for it? You only arrest those who are misleading the public.
Sena, if this was fake, how then Mr. paid for? Sena, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Sena, if this was fake, how come the regional minister paid for ransom for the same thing that you faked?
But can it also not be argued, Doc, that a kidnapping sometimes you're in a race against time. You are not immediately in the position of confirming whether it is true or not. That will take some investigation to uncover. But within that period, you are trying as much as possible to secure whoever is in custody, whether false or true. And so within that period, you can pay a ransom and later realize that you were paying the ransom to the same person.
That is a breakdown of security in our country. That is a breakdown of security in our country. You know, when you pay a ransom, the person is supposed to be delivered to you. But before you pay the ransom, I made it clear to you on this program right now that the regional minister is actually not the one investigating the case. By our security acts and laws in Ghana, the police takes in charge.
The problem with Doc's network. It was.
That we found the person at ABCD, and we need to pay a ransom. Definitely, the intel, no matter how, should be coming from the security, like the police service that is leading the investigation. So, are you saying that the police have established that yes, indeed, we found a woman, and the criminal woman indeed, and let's pay this money so that the person can be released? And after paying the money, you realize that this is not what we are expecting. It's what we are saying. If that's the case, then we have a challenge. As far as the sector is concerned in this country, you can't do an investigation, identify somebody who is missing, and then you pay a ransom. That's going to tell us that this is what you are expecting. I don't think that is right. You know, we saw pictures of going to the police about her pregnancy, the small was swollen, everything. Everybody have seen it. And those in the community came to say for the fact that for the past 9 months before her disappearance, she was carrying a baby in her stomach. I mean, I don't live in that community, but the community will confirm that indeed she has been there for almost 9 months with a pregnancy. So if the police are now saying that the person they've now found actually faked the pregnancy, I mean, you know already for this government at the moment, but what they say to us, many of the things are not correct, you know already. The president will commission investigation. Before investigation are concluded, the president will come and pronounce judgment on the investigation. And at the end of the day, nothing happened again because when the president speaks, that is final. So the hands of the security agents are tied. They can't release any report. Rather, if you want to release any report at all, that is to allow what the president says. The regional minister is doing the same thing. Definitely, what the police might have found will be something different, but the regional minister wants to preempt what kind of conclusion they should be drawing. And he actually preempted it. He paid a ransom just for somebody to come and say, okay, the ransom will pay, we got the person, but the person is not pregnant. That's what we are seeing right now. And this is something that can be done at any time. So we have to also be careful about the timing for the police at this time. Because I told you that the regional minister is the one who is the leader of the regional coordinating council, the coordinating council. He's the leader over there. So he is the coordinator for the regional security council. Then whatever he's saying should be taken
I think
very seriously. To me, I believe public.
Doc, we'll come back to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you. And if you're on the move, we're having difficulties with your network. Actually, we keep losing you. But let me just go back to Honorable Kodobisa. Honorable, so how will this issue be settled? Because at this point in time, everybody is just getting to the point where I recall speaking to Honorable Enusa Fuseni, who is a former minister, who says that he is losing interest in this matter because a lot of things do not add up. How will this be settled? How would we get to the point where every one of us who was worried and interested in this matter will be convinced that, well, this is exactly what happened. These are the facts of the case.
See, the whole issue has left the citizenry on the trajectory of speculation because things do not add up. As I said from the beginning, we have more than 4 versions of this same story where the woman herself is saying something different, corroborated by immediate family. The regional minister came up, with a different story. Now his aide or special assistant, whatever we may call him, is also saying that he has gone ahead to pay a ransom, which the police have also denied. So you clearly see that there is a disconnect even between the head of the Security Council and members of the Security Council, which is now the police and then the regional minister. So the police are even questioning where the money was paid and to whom was the money paid. They wanted to know. Now the regional minister has not come out to either deny or affirm the assertion made by his special assistant or special aide. And so should we take it that what the minister is saying is the sacrosanct truth, or is also trying to muddy the waters further by what my comrade has just said, Eric, that things are cooking behind, the scene to overshadow what the country people are doing out there. We also understand when the president is traveling now, he has to carry another batch of party faithfuls who will go and then fake support for him as our brothers and sisters in the diaspora who are in love with what he's doing back home, which turns out to be false because they are carrying the people from here. Perhaps that is why he wants a bigger plane to be flying in so that he can have space for all those, activities behind the scene. But coming back to the real issue, what we need to do, if there's going to be any independent investigation that could be carried out into this matter, I don't know. So we can put a finality to this matter, because now, if the police themselves want to unravel the mystery, they may be contradicting the position of the regional minister. And if that should happen, then there is a total disconnect between the head and members of the security committee. So in this case, it might be appropriate to allow a body outside this RESEC to do the investigation, and which is clothed with the powers to come out without fear or favor with the reality on the ground, so that Ghanaians will know that yes, this is what has actually happened. And then if it is true that the lady also faked, that is the seat of is it public officer, whatever, the police will put that charge, that if you intentionally deceive the public or a public officer into believing that something is true, but turns out eventually to be false, you will be charged for that offense. And so we want to see, and if what we are hearing that the lady is connected to MPP executive, then the whole thing might have been an orchestrated theater, which is being dramatized to the public now, where the regional minister has been given a role, where the lady and the husband has been given a role to play, the special assistant has been given a role to play. As for the police, I am not too sure whether their role has been defined in this drama. And so we have to go beyond this group of people to establish the reality. And if there's anything that can be relied upon as an independent investigative body, then this is where we need to go. But as I said from the beginning, how do we determine that investigative body? Because sometimes when you ask Parliament to do a bipartisan work, we see how the seat for cash or cash for seat went when a committee was set. Before the committee came up, the president was pronouncing his own verdict outside Parliament, and that rendered the whole investigation moot. And so if we really want to get to the bottom of this, then we should be inviting is it FBI or whatever from outside the country, since we have money to spend.
Is that not far-fetched?
That is what I'm saying. Since we have money to spend recklessly, if really we cherish our security in this country, and for us not to be living in fear and panic, then it is proper we spend money to settle, this matter, and then pronounce punishment for those if found capable to have taken this whole thing, whether the regional minister himself is involved, whether the party executives are involved, the lady, the mother, and the husband, if they are all found to be culpable, let the law take its course without favor, so that we can put a stop to it. If it is not coming from outside, but we can rely on an independent body that can do a thorough investigation, come out with the sacrosanct truth. Let us call for that one and push for it, so that it is no longer the police who are under the watch of the regional minister who come up and the next day is transferred as the doctor who gave a testimony in the matter of the journalist case.
Okay, thank you, Nombo Kudubisa. Mr. Wajato, there are those who suggested, well, we're following this from the very beginning, hoping that the family has an alternative story. The family now comes and we are hearing from the police saying that the lady has confessed that she was never pregnant in the first place. So, well, if the person we were worried about has turned around to say everything was fake, let's leave the police to do what they are supposed to do and move on. What do you say to that?
In fact, that should have been our position right from the onset, to have left the police to have done their investigations, and for the police to come out and tell that after having done the investigation, this is our finding. But then when we have all manners of people jumping the gun and rushing to come and make statements and to pay money to God knows who and all that, it muddies the whole waters. And I am sincerely disappointed. I mean, currently, as I think I do agree with Raji Fuseni, that I am losing interest in this case because it's just becoming an unfolding drama. Part 1, part 2, part 3, because every episode comes with its own story and it ends. It's suspense. And then they bring you another part of it. But my hope and prayer is that the police would really sit up, do their work, and then let the truth be known to everybody. If this lady has faked it for whatever reason, then she must first be given some psychiatric analysis to find out why, to try and find out whether there are causes, social, cultural, economic, or whatever causes, and then whatever the issue is, she should be treated appropriately according to the law, and all actors in between. But I'm telling you honestly, I don't have hope that anything will come out of this. This thing will just die a natural death. By Monday, tomorrow, another story will come on how much the president is bringing from his trip, and this thing, it become a new story, and this story will die away quietly. But we are still looking at it, and I'm hoping that our teams in Takrady will not let the story die and will keep us informed.
Doc, can you hear me? Dr. Hato. Dr. Hato, if you okay.
I can hear you, Sena.
Okay, so let me read a publication from Joy Online for you, and this is ACP Kwesi for speaking. It says that we distance ourselves from the story that from that story, we are not part of it. The police administration is not aware of such payment. He stressed on Saturday, ACP Ofori further stated that in a security situation, such sensitive things bordering on kidnapping and such purported criminal activities, information around it should be well controlled. And then he continues to say that the information has not come to the attention of the managing board. You are telling me, and we'll look at it. We'll find out whether the regional police, divisional police, or the station took such an amount and what they use it for. So that is the issue of the ransom. The police are saying, we know nothing about the ransom. And ideally, what should have happened is that even if there was anything like that, it's sensitive information that must be well controlled. What do you say?
That is very correct from the police end, because let's remember that these are about kidnapping of somebody's mother, somebody's wife, somebody's sister, and that stuff. And the information flow from the security side should be very tactical and very well controlled. I agree on that one. But what he did not tell us is if the regional minister actually got that intel from many other sources apart from the police themselves, even though from the assertion from the military minister, they're supposed to be very firm and mention that they were not aware of what the regional minister is saying, and that by their investigation, they are yet to uncover any such evidence or any such development. They have to be very clear on that. If they say they distance themselves from that, information, whose information, they should be clear enough to say that from the minister's side, or maybe from the special aid of the minister. That is the first point that you do. So for me, talking about controlling the information is very correct from a security point of view. But my biggest worry is the fact that the regional minister is the leader or the chairman of the Regional Security Council, which means that he oversees all the various security investigations in the region. So if he said this, and the police are saying that is not true, that alone should tell you and I that there's no coordination, there's no control, and there is no proper deployment of the security investigation is going on.
Hello, Doc. Well, we're still having difficulties with docs.
For the ministers, why they always contradict themselves. Yeah, can you hear me, Sena?
Yes, I can hear you.
Sena?
I can hear you.
Yeah, so I'm saying that there's a complete disconnect between the Security Council, or let's say the Regional Security Council being led by the regional minister, and the police service that is working under him. There is a dishonesty here, and there is a miscarriage of security and intelligence activities in the region, and there is a lack of proper control, coordination, and deployment of the intelligence being gathered. And this is very terrible and very unfortunate for the country. And this seems to rhyme with what the president himself be doing, where the president will say something and the minister will say a different thing. And then because the president has spoken, and that dies everything. Everything died like that. In fact, I mean, it's very, very unfortunate to have this complete disconnect, to have this complete not control of the situation under this sensitive investigation. So like one of my colleagues just said, I think it is time we get an independent body to go into this matter so that the culprit will be brought to book. If it is the regional minister that is telling us the lies, he must be brought to book. If the police who are not actually up to the task, they must be brought to book. If it is a woman who is faking indeed the reality, she must also be brought to book. Other than that, there are so many millions of questions that need to be answered. Thank you.
Doc, to land on this, I'm wondering if the police cannot be just allowed to do their job, and perhaps they should be allowed to also look at the angle of the fact that the regional minister himself may be involved.
Definitely, security-wise, to be frank with you, if you want to come from the security gathering point of view, that is correct. The police should be allowed to do their work together with the other security agencies. The regional minister only needs to be briefed. He is even not the one supposed to be telling us what's happening around this investigation. In fact, let me put on record that the regional minister is not the one mandated by the act to brief us on the development of this investigation. It is a sole responsibility of the police, that's the Ghana Police Service. So the regional minister actually is operating outside the book. That's the first thing I want to say. Secondly, to now under the President Anado, the security sector is very fragile, because anytime you are doing your job professionally and it goes against them, they will sack you, or they will demote you, or they will send you to a place that even they themselves knows that nobody is there to work with you. So even the security, especially the police service, national security, and the BNN themselves, they are already worried as to how they can bring out a credible report. Because if you want to bring a credible report that indict the government in power, this and another government, they will throw you out, they will sack you. There's no doubt about that one. Recently, if you remember,
Happy Bantus,
who came and gave has been transferred in the security sector. We have a lot of our brothers and sisters at the security sector are being transferred allegedly for handling certain cases where they put their professionalism at work, and being professional like that, they were thrown out. Very, very sad. So right now, it is only those who are ready to dance to the music the way the government of Nanado wanted it. They are the only ones who can stay in post. Anything different from that, you start or you transfer to a place they themselves don't like to go. That's the reality. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. We'll move on to the other topic for discussion. Let me go back to the video we played. You recall I played a video. We started with the video that days back to the second time we had a discussion on the president's travels, which is attracting a lot of attention. Let me go back to that. We're going back to that topic. Before we do that, let me just read some messages. Justice Lomo is joining us, says, great work done, comrades, with your brilliant submissions. Happy Bantu says, and according to ACP Kwesi Fori, the police know nothing about the payment of ransom. They distance the Ghana police from paying any ransom to any kidnappers. My question is, who is telling the truth? So many conflicting reports over this kidnapped woman. All in all, Ghana is no longer safe under Kufuado. Koma is Jawapia. Dr. Jawapia says, Sena, have we considered the medical report? Why speculate when there's a report from a doctor in Axim or the Fian Kwanta Hospital? Unless we also consider the medical report too as fake. Let's be careful. Well, there's been, and what we have been told by the hospital at Tifia and Kwanta is that they are yet to officially release a report to the Ghana Police Service. They have not, as this time, issued an official report to the Ghana Police Service. That's what they are saying from the Tifia and Kwanta, the regional hospital. They are yet to release an official report to the Ghana Police Service. Say they will do it on Monday. But if the police have, through other means, found a way to perhaps get that information, that is their issue. But they have not issued a report to the Ghana Police Service as yet. So it's quite interesting how that information even came out. That even the Fia Kwanta Hospital is saying that when they checked, they saw no traces of pregnancy, past pregnancy, or a most recent one with the woman. So it's an interesting one how that came up. Well, so those are the comments I've just read. But to start this conversation, the second conversation on the presidential travels, the luxury travels, I'm going to play to you what a member of the Council of State and a respected lawyer actually has been saying about this issue. We understand it's a very close friend of the president too, lawyer Sam Okujeto. Ironically, he is the uncle of Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, who has been the one who has been championing the agenda, asking for some accountability in terms of the president's travels and the choices the president is making. But if you're joining us, I want to make a small appeal to you. Please share the feed. Share the video you are watching so that others can join us. Share the feed immediately. Just keep sharing it so that others can join us. Share as many times as you can. So Zero says we are even in the first year of that's president's second term. And look at the crime. West is yet to come. So listen to Last Abukujeto.
When he was going to Germany, there was hue and cry. Why is he traveling? He takes this expensive plane and it costs so much per
But
day.
an expensive plane, it will cost so much. I mean,
No, the question
the
is that
economy is struggling.
no,
and
this,
you need money to
this
fix
is
the
part
economy.
of the stupidity of the Ghanaian media, which you do not understand what diplomacy is all about. Diplomacy is an expensive process, but there are always benefits. The president cannot sit down there in Jubilee House, and you be thinking that all these
But the
things will be
other
coming.
is a bit cheaper. I mean,
No, what is the cheaper way?
that the president can.
He was invited by the people there, so he has to
You could
go.
have looked for an aircraft
No,
that is
you-
less expensive than what it is.
Which of you know which the cheap aircraft are? You see, this is the trouble. I said we spend more time criticizing instead of looking at the benefits that come to us, because we don't even study the system.
Because
to
I'm saying
understand
there
it.
was nothing wrong with the president.
I
using
am
the
not
chartered
here to
flight.
go and to talk
That is
for
very
the.
expensive.
I am not here
at the
to
expense of
talk.
the economy.
I am not here to talk. What economy? Which
The economy is struggling. He himself has said it, that the economy is
Of
struggling.
course,
we are not trying to recover.
the economy is not
So
only.
it's expected that the president would try and then minimize the
Please,
expenditure.
the question I kept telling everybody is that heads of states all over the world, they are traveling. He is not the only one. All the economies in the world, including America and the rest, they are all struggling. In fact, if you look at the deficit in Britain, the percentage to the gross is much higher than that.
That
of
is how
Ghana.
we need to manage our expenditure.
No,
Baseline.
I am saying that you can say that, okay, you did this, why didn't you do it this way? But when we just go on this wholesale attack daily, I don't think it is productive and helps the country. This is what I'm saying, that as a nation and a people, we can agree on certain basic principles so that we all operate upon it, instead of this attack.
Well, so you heard lawyer Sam Okujeto, a very experienced private legal practitioner, sharing his thoughts on this. He's also a member of the Council of State, so which means that at this point in time, we could have decided that let's go to the Council of State and at least get the Council of State to get the president to at least account for why he's decided to travel in this style. Why are you not using the presidential jet as someone who has promised to protect the public purse? This is a member, one of the people who will meet at the Council of State if we go there. He says the continuous discussion is the stupidity of we in the media. Let me take the thoughts of my panel. Let me start with Mr. Wajeto. Mr. Wajeto, I think he asked a simple question. Do you know any less expensive alternative?
This is such an obvious answer. This is an obvious answer. I know Uncle Sami Okujeto is a very respected lawyer, and I know him personally, so I'm going to be very, very circumspect in my choice of words. It's totally unfortunate, and I totally disagree with him or with his opinion on this matter, that to his thinking, if I understood him right, that we should look at both sides of the balance sheet and not only at what is being spent, but what also is being brought in. In as much as I can appreciate that kind of reasoning, the fact of the matter is that our economy is in trouble. We are in crisis. So whatever savings we can make, that can be channeled into other sectors. That can be channeled into youth employment. That can be channeled into education. That can be channeled into health. That can be channeled into any of the other sectors. Is most welcome. The question is that, does the president really need to go by those means? The question is that, are there no other means by which he can travel and still come back with the same benefits? Are we saying that it is because of the use of this luxurious travel that is attracting the goodies or the freebies that are being given to him on the trips? I would say no. I mean, I couldn't agree more with Honorable Ablakwa Okujeto, when he asks that if that is the standard of living that they are used to, Didn't we know them before 2016? Was that how they were moving around? If before then they were moving around in that style, we say maybe we don't want to lower their level. So maybe that's the level that they are used to. But hell no. We knew them. We saw how they moved around. We saw the cars they used. We saw the travels that they traveled. So what has changed? And for me, what makes it all the more poignant is the fact that we have other African heads of state, other heads of state from other countries. And we see the humility, the frugality with which they move around. Do we really need these luxurious things? So me, I do not see a direct correlation between traveling in super luxury and then getting free vaccines or things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the COVAX vaccines that were given to us, was it given to us because of the Arabian night type of flights that they were taking? No, I think that the government should show a little more sensitivity, because they did it the first time and we complained. And I've expected the government to have shown some sensitivity and have backed down and then just gone with the Falcon that we have in place for our presidential travel. After all, it has been proven beyond all odds that there's nothing wrong with that plane. The plane is good. We have even, whether it is on lease, on loan, or dashed to the Liberian president for his travels. So, I mean, what makes our president, with all due respect, so special that he cannot use the Ghana plane, which we've given to another African-friendly sister country, to use for their president, but our president has to go in this luxury? And you see, what hurts me in all this is the disdain with which the people of Ghana are being treated. Disdain in the sense that we ask questions, ministers are brought to the floor of parliament to answer questions, and they give us cheek, and nothing can be done about it. I mean, that is most unfortunate. It is totally unfair. You know, if we are being told that they came in to come and save the public purse, this is not the way the public purse is being saved. You know, I think that it is most inconsiderate, you know, to try and have such ostentation. For what? For what? I mean, what does it add to the trip? Apart from personal comfort, exaggerated comfort, what does it really add to the trip? Personally, I sincerely believe that Honorable Ablakwa Okujeto should pursue and should get, whether it's the Minister for Defense, the Minister for Interior, the Minister for National Security, and now that Ken Ofori-Atta has said that he doesn't have to answer for that, which I don't agree, because he's a spending officer. So he must have some reason, some rationale, some cause for which this expenditure is being made. And once again, I mean, there are also schools of thought that in actual fact, this craft, since they are using the same craft over and over again, for such kind of business, if you know it well, you realize that you might not be able to get the same airplane every time that you need it, unless maybe they book for it way in advance. I am inclined to think that there's more to it than this. I can smell the hand of the Dankwa Institute inside there somewhere. Maybe they've already bought the plane, and then they are using the travels from Ghana up and down to use it to defray the cost of the plane or something, because these guys are totally insensitive. They have their ears closed, and they just do what they want to do, how they want to do it, and when they want to do it. I'm totally disappointed in their reaction to the genuine claims and genuine concerns that government, or that the people are saying that government, you are spending too much. You are spending too much on the luxury of this president. And I shiver to think of what other things we would find out down the line. You know, it's most unfortunate, totally irrelevant. And I think that they should be sensitive and be able to curtail some of this unnecessary expenditure.
I've heard a suggestion of the probability of them having bought the plane B bait. When that is said, and I hear you also perhaps talk about that as a one of the things that may have happened. For who? For the country or for themselves?
But why would Dankwa Institute buy a plane for the country? I mean, definitely, if they're going to buy it, they're going to buy it for themselves. They're going to buy it for the Achim Mafia. They're going to buy it for those who the country is theirs. This is not going to be put on our books. They're just using the flights up and down to try and pay off, defray some of the cost of the craft. You know, investigations are still ongoing. So that's why I like to say all these are allegations, but the allegations that, you know, we cannot just brush away. Because if somebody shouts that you are stepping on my foot and it's hurting, and you still put your foot there and are now actually twisting your heel onto the person's to, I mean, can you say that it was by accident? No, I think that they need to come again. They need to rethink it, because this is wickedness. I mean, we see all the pictures of these school children. I mean, look, to think of these millions that are just being wasted. It's so painful, you know, when we need, I mean, every single penny that we can save can be put into some better use in the country. So why? For how many people? 19 people to travel in that luxury, to go and do what? To go and address an almost empty hall. It is the meetings on the sidebar of the conference that might even have brought in some goodies, so to speak. But are we saying that if we didn't go in that luxury jet and we went in our Falcon, we would not have met with the Vice President of America?
And that's the issue I'm coming to. You are a business executive. Perhaps they are following your the usual business preamble of first impressions count. The way you appear is very important.
Our first impression started from 6th March 1957. That was our first impression. This is not our today riding in these things. That was our first impression. When they go there as president of Ghana, even if he goes there on a bicycle, it is the 6th of March 1957. That is what is carrying us, projecting us. It's not all these fancy clothes and luxury travels. No, I don't believe in that. Ghana has a name. Ghana has a value. And anybody who says I'm president of Ghana and goes anywhere will be accorded that respect. They don't need to see what car you came with or what plane you are riding or what suit you are wearing. No.
Well, Mr. Kodobisa, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wajato. Mr. Kodobisa,
All right.
Simple, straightforward issue. Lawyer Okujeto is of the opinion that, and this is an opinion that has been shared by a few people within the New Patriotic Party, why are we talking about cost instead of looking at the value? Mr. Wajato is of the opinion that even if he goes in a bicycle, he will still get the things that he got from wherever he got them from, because the name Ghana already exists and he is the president of Ghana. You agree?
Yes, Sena, I would want to stress on value for money, but I want to preface my submission with the vision of the president, then candidate Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, in their 2016 manifesto. And if you look at the vision that is put down as coming from now the president, then candidate Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, portion of it reads, "Our nation is in crisis, a crisis created and sustained by the mismanagement, incompetence, and corruption of the Mahama-led National Democratic Congress, NDC government. Economic conditions are worsening by the day, and there is so much suffering in the land. But Ghana does not have to be like this. Ghana deserves the best. I have dedicated my life to public service to change Ghana for good. As president, with the help of the Almighty God, I will be committed to a different kind of government, one that governs in the national interest, not for private gain. And I'll conclude by quoting him again, saying that I will champion your cause with the help of the Almighty God. And every day I wake up as president, my first and only consideration will be what is best for the country we all love, what will improve the lives of all our people. It goes on and on, but these are the key and top phrases of the vision of our president. And we all know when he was taking the reins of this country in 2017, he told Ghanaians that his primary objective is to protect the public purse and make sure that he blocks all the loopholes to save money for this country. And those who think they can make money in his government will be most disappointed. They better look at the private sector where money is made. I hope you vividly remember this. And so if we have a president who has vowed to safeguard the purse of this nation, but all we see now is a perforated purse which is leaking with blood. Our own blood, Ghanaians' blood, is leaking through the perforated purse. Your toil, my toil, our sufferings, the taxpayers' money is being squandered in broad daylight like this. The president. And so what Mr. Lawyer Okujetu is saying, may I be excused to say that he is perhaps suffering from oral diarrhea, which he needs to be helped to solve, because if this time he has lost his objectivity, that man, when he was the president of the Bar Association some time ago, the way he can be on the 10 running station every day, trying to project himself as the citizen vigilante. Today, this same person is now defending a perforated purse holder who is not. Then I am surprised. But that having been said, let us consider the facts that a president who is going to, with a cap in hand, to go and beg for arms, to come and spend majority on himself, his family and friends, as we know it today, as the Chain Mafia, will go in such a luxurious jet, which is costing not less than 14,000 pounds per hour. You have made the first trip. Ghanaians were disgusted. They lambasted you. And all you could tell them was that, oh, you can cry blood. I don't care a fig. He went the second time in a more luxurious jet, and then to the UN assembly in the same jet. What are you telling Ghanaians? You do not respect us for anything. And so we have to support Honorable Okujetu Ablakwa's position that yes, if you want to allow this man to continue on this road, in fact, the air travels alone is enough to break down Ghana to a point where salaries cannot even be paid going forward. You can mark it on the wall. If the president should continue this way, it will come to a point where workers' salary cannot even be paid because they are borrowing to pay salaries. So we need to check him. We need to, stop him in the track that, yes, you are our president, but that prerogative, that penchant for luxury, we all know that this president has a penchant for extravagance lifestyle, very ostentatious opulence and a profligate lifestyle. This is what Nanado is known for. And so if anybody thinks that he is going to listen to Ghanaians, that we are crying foul of what he's doing, then we must be deceiving ourselves and laughing at the wrong side of our mouth.
So,
and so
you don't think it will change anything?
Hello?
You don't expect anything to change based on everything we have been saying?
Oh, David. It will get worse. It will get worse. If this president who has a penchant for this, luxurious lifestyle, lavish, ostentatious opulence and profligate lifestyle, I bet you nothing, if anything will change, then it will change for the worse, but not for the better. And so I think that debate needs to be activated so that, all sections of society are engaged in it to determine whether actually we need to buy a new presidential jet that will save us costs in the future, or we allow, I don't know, we allow him to continue this way. Because if they are saying the aircraft is not airworthy, how then do we leave it for President Weah of Liberia to be flying, all along? Is the president telling him that, oh, Liberia is an inferior country, so you can fly my presidential jet to go and die? Is that what he is telling President Weah? If the aircraft is not airworthy, how can we leave it for another president in the sub-region to continue flying? And so it flies in the face of those who are defending this indefensible, issue. I don't know whether power is so intoxicating that if you are in power, you are blind to, societal suffering, you are blind to everything, you are deaf to everything, until perhaps you are out of power before objectivity comes your way. I don't know whether that is how politics is, because this was the same man who was challenging every step of President Mahama, every step of President Mills, every step of former President Rawlings. You see, that value for money. Let Ghanaians know that he is there as a spokesperson for the nation. Human rights, fighter. Today, where have all those pedigrees gone to? They have been thrown to the dogs. And so we must stand our grounds to make sure that there is a national policy on presidential travel. So that if Ghanaians have to cough out, the one that President Kufuor bought didn't cost us less than $37 million US. And for how long? Then we want to throw it away and then go on this luxurious charter spree.
I'll put your suggestion to
the earlier we stop the president, the better. If Parliament cannot do it, let the citizens rise up in the streets against the president, and then he will listen.
Okay, so I'll put your suggestion to the other panel members on the presidential travel. Of course, that's the same proposal that Honorable Kujeto Ablakwa has been making himself. But thank you, Honorable Kudowisa. Let me jump to Dr. Justice Moses Aheto. Doc, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Sena.
Okay, so the other suggestion that has been made, I know you have a very strong interest in security. People have suggested that the president's security must always be first. So if there's the feeling, that's how come when the question of cost was raised, the finance minister referred the members of parliament to the national security, so which means that it's a security decision that is being made to fly the president in that instead of the private jet, that we need to prioritize the security of the president. What do you say to that?
Thank you, Sena. In fact, there's no logic, there's no basis, and there's no sense in that kind of position that is being made. In fact, some of us are privileged enough to work with some of these guys who work at the Ghana Air Force at Burma camp. Okay, they will tell you that with the presidential jet, there's something wrong with the presidential jet. It's in full force, it's airworthy, and it's being certified every now and then, and it's ready to go. Mark this down. I'm telling Ghanaians that even those who are working on this very machine, the presidential jet, if you ask them, they will tell you. I wish Ghana is like a foreign land where you can freely express yourself, mention people's name, and nothing happens to them. If we are to be like that, I could have given you just two colonels, their name, who work at the Air Force base at Burma camp. Just two colonels' name. Two people can go and then do your report or check from yourself. In fact, the presidential jet is airworthy. It can fly from here to US and any destination. And every single year, they seek certification to be sure that it can be flown. And that is done every year. And this year, like this, the presidential jet is airworthy. Every time you want to fly with that jet, you can go and come back. If you want to come to deployment of forces and other logistics, the flight can go. In fact, not long ago, it was even used to go to Nigeria to do certain deployments. The same flight you're talking about, the presidential jet. So when I hear, people trying to say that it's for the secretary of the president that we have to go for a private jet or some other jet here and then instead of the presidential jet that we have, my brother, it's an insult to the people of Ghana. But rather, I see it to be a lack of knowledge from those who want to push this forceful agenda on us. Perhaps someone is benefiting from the extravagant maybe somebody is benefiting from that chattering that is going on, unprecedented. In fact, my heart is about to boil because at the moment as I speak to you, government have to go and take loans to pay government workers. Right now, as we are speaking right now, we don't have any money in our coffers to even say that we are breaking even, where our expenditure is equal to our income. To the extent that every single month, the current government, they are the one who brought this issue on Ghana right now, that even the loans alone that we are servicing is over 120% of our GDP. And what that means is that every single month, we don't have anything. Rather, we have a deficit in our account. So if government cannot go out and go and borrow money every single month, they don't even pay government workers. In the same country, we have a president who go and charter flight, thousands of pounds, thousands of dollars for an hour. You see, let me educate us a bit. You know, when the masses are struggling to survive, when majority of your people cannot even afford a single meal, the square meal, a single one per day, but the president of the land is seen flying in a private jet that is costing the taxpayer an unprecedented amount of money, which is actually a debt to the country again. Because remember, I said already that right now government cannot even pay government workers because we don't have money, so they have to go and loan. And all these loans are taken, there are interest on them. And in Ghana, we are paying over 80% of every single loan we take. Where some countries within the sub-region are paying around 2%, 5%. We are paying 80% of some of these loans. Because again, somebody is also benefiting from those interests. And we are happy to be proud of ourselves to go and cut cakes, to go and buy cake and make a party that in fact we succeeded in throwing some kind of bonds where we have indebted the country more, but have to pay an interest of 18% or more. While others are paying even less than 2%. In the same country where people are crying for a square meal per day, you have their president who have to travel not alone with their party faithfuls and their leadership just to go and celebrate a comeback. Sometimes I also don't blame people as such. Even the developing countries or the developed world that is giving out the loans, they also have to do some part of their social responsibility. You have a president called Nanado from Ghana who fly in a private jet over 10,000 pounds per hour or per some few hours, coming to you to borrow money in the name of the country that is coming from. And even you, in fact, some of you who are even coming to Ghana, you go on an economic flight. They go on an economic flight. Some of them even go with a commercial flight and they pay the same money. And some of them go on the economic one. When they come to Ghana, and these are presidents, prime ministers, but they don't come to loan from us, they don't come to take money from us or to borrow from us. They rather come to give us. But somebody who is coming to take from you, because what argument they are saying is that, oh, as the president fly out there, is going to take loans and come and support Ghana. Somebody is coming to take loan. He's flying in over 10,000 pounds per hour jet. Where that person is having a presidential jet that can do the same business at a lower cost. Are we serious in this country at all? And you have the government apparatus coming to defend this stupidity. For you to tell me that you have a presidential jet, all right, but it doesn't worth that of our president, but at least it worth that of the Liberian president to use. Can you imagine?
Doc, as far as you know, maybe responding to the issue that has been raised by lawyer Sabo Kujato, which one is cheaper from your conversation with the military? Is it cheaper? Is it cheaper to fuel a presidential jet and fly than to fly the private jet? Because he seems confused on that issue.
Please, I see we were over there when the education were all going. My brother, it's more economical for our presidential jet than the private jet. Do you know why? Do you even know that when the private jet fly our president to a country like the US or the UK, even the amount of time they spend at the airport, they pay for it? Just parking the jet. Just parking the jet.
The space, okay, the space where you park.
Yes, because it's a private jet. So when you park, the number of hours or days you spend, you have to pay that money. And that money is our cost. It's not the cost of the airline, no. Because they are doing business for us. Because they are private jets, they are owned by individuals who are into what? Making profit rather than loss. But our own, since the provincial jet that we have, there is a bilateral agreement between countries. For instance, do you know that right now the US military has a base in Ghana? You know? Do you know that the US have a military base in Ghana? Do you know that when they fly with their military flight, they come and land at Terminal 3 and we don't pay money? They can stay there for 1 month. They will not pay money. They will not pay money to us because that bilateral agreement always exists between countries. So even if you use our presidential jet and it's going to be somewhere for 4 days, 5 days, 10 days, we don't lose much. We don't lose much. Most of the time, some of the the port charges, which are very serviceable within the bilateral agreement, sometimes some of the countries even take it on for the survey and even clear it. Compared to a private jet, which belongs to a company and running on business, because that one is running on business. So even the president of Ghana is the one who is using that one, that protocol is not there for the private jet. They have to still pay for staying at the airport as long as they are there. So if you like, I'm encouraging all media men and women who are listening to us. They can go behind the scene. They should go to the Air Force base at Burma camp. They should go and ask them about this agreement. It's a public knowledge. It's a public knowledge. So how does someone will tell me that a private individual who is into profit making will run a jet to another country and will be more economical than me running my own presidential jet where all I need to do is to follow it? Okay, I agree that economically the private jet is better than our own. How come the Liberian president is using our own? Is he not going to follow the same fuel, or he's going to use the water? Sorry to say, apologies to your listeners. Apologies to your listeners. The Liberian president who is flying with our presidential jet, the same presidential jet, is he going to follow with water? Is it not the same fuel he's going to use? You see, so this argument, when they can, you ask yourself, do you really have men in Ghana anymore? All I want to say right now is that if Parliament failed to bring Akufo-Addo and his government that is destroying the economy of this country to book, I think the citizens have to do the needful. And how would they do it? First, there are legal provisions for them to deal with. First, they can register their displeasure by demonstration. That's the first one. And if the president fails, that Ghanaians are not happy with his extravagant lifestyle. People who are driving in pickups, sometimes from let's say 2008 or even 1990 pickups to do campaign, from here to Tamale, from Tamale to Boga, from Boga to Navrongo, down to Volta Ridge, Nakachi to Aflau and all that. Today, they are in they are what? V8. Or they are even traveling 48 V8, 24 V8, 20 V8. And if they tell you how much it costs to fuel one V8 from Accra even to the north, you will bow your head. That is how these people have become all of a sudden. Is it not these MP people, including Nanado, who are on the street of Accra, issuing a cheat and taking money from Kaya people and those who are selling on the street of Accra, just to raise funds for their campaign in 2016? Is it not this Nanado who has even sell property to his father allegedly to finance his campaign and still lost in 2012? Is it not this Nanado who was seen on the street eating kenke? Or is it not Nanado that I know who was seen on the street eating kenke with street people in their homes? Is it not the same person? What has changed? Now, even presidential jets diving certain countries will not visit their life. Now is telling us that our own is too bad that he cannot use it, but the president of Liberia can use it. Hey, Ghana.
Well, Doc,
is this my Ghana? No.
Let me. Thank you.
All I will say before I conclude on this one, all I will say is that the masses out there who cannot survive one single meal a day should begin to look for the president so that he can feed them. This is the only way this nonsense can stop. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me give the final word to Mr. Huajeto. I'm guessing the suggestion that has come up is the issue of the fact that we should have a presidential travel policy. And I will call the question I answered Nombo Kujeto Blacko at the time was that where would the policy come from? I thought policies usually emanated from the executive, and the person who is in office likes the luxury. How would he then put together a policy that will stop his luxury? I don't know, but do you agree that perhaps we need a policy, even if not from this government, somewhere Parliament can initiate it?
Oh, I mean, certainly, I do support such an idea, but the question once again arises that where would such a laudable initiative be initiated from? You know, because there must be certain checks and balances. If not, things could degenerate into near madness. You know, when I say near madness, I mean that people will do things that you ask that, but why? And he do it because nothing bars him by the Constitution from doing it. It is within his rights as whatever, you know. But seriously, we need to find a way. And as you rightly said, we need, and for me, one of my disappointments with Uncle Sami Okujeto is that he is a member of the Council of States who are supposed to be advising the president. And if he is talking in this manner, then I seriously wonder what kind of advice the council would be giving the president if they would just be encouraging him on to continue what he's doing in this kind of manner. Then I really ask myself that what is the actual essence, the use, the benefit of having these eminent persons on whom so much is spent to advise the president? What kind of advice can they really give him? Can this policy or proposal or whatever emanate from Parliament? What kind of weight will that have? And I don't see which of the sectors, whether from national security or from finance or from office of the president or who would be willing under this regime to come up with some paper that would actually give some guidelines on presidential travels and all that. It is a laudable proposal that it should be done. But the question is, who will do it and of what real effect would it be? But certainly go for it and say, look, all the same, even if it's just for the sake of prosperity, let us just try and come up with a discussion on that. And if Parliament sits up, I'm sure they'll get a lot of support from the citizenry.
Well, let me read, thank you, by the way. Let me read two messages. Dr. Jawapia says, seriously, is that a member of the Council of State talking like that? Oh my God. The Zambian president traveled by Delta Airline to save money for his country. Whipped by beloved country. Interestingly, the Zambia president travel commercial, Nana Akufo-Addo travel commercial, they all stood side by side with the vice president of the United States of America. So ultimately, they ended up on the same podium, on the same platform, got the same things and everything. Eric Abonifefe Jasper says that lawyer doesn't know what he's saying. Why can't president use a presidential jet? Others used while in office. Why the private jet? Habib Bantu says, Sena, 3 square meals is a luxury in Ghana today. People no longer eat 3 times a day. Yet our president flies £14,000 per hour. What profligate and senseless use of our scarce resources, like an Arabian monarch? Even them would jealous our president. Ghanaians are not angry enough. Like this profligacy will stop. The youth revolution is a must. #kick. He says the old brain out. Let me move on to the other issue. Unfortunately, I have 7 minutes. So just brief views. I'm sure
Dr. Sena,
yes.
Sena, I have a very important thing to make on this before you go to the next one. I beg you. Very important submission.
You have to make it 1 minute.
That's 1 minute. Okay. 1 minute. Yeah, just 1 minute. Yeah, Sena, I want to let the government know that even the act of the president is a national insecurity for the nation as well. I mean, the rampant, the extravagant lifestyle of the president at the moment, especially with the jet issue, is a national security threat that you have to be careful about. The reason is that, when the people feel impoverished, when the people are feeling that even the little they need to survive, they're not getting it, and they see you, the president, living that luxurious life, it's a threat to the security of the nation. The government and those who are managing the security of the president, they know what I'm talking about. They should think about this one. There's no doubt about this. That's the reason why, even now, the security forces, for instance, the national security, the BNI, that are supposed to be used to, protect the country as a whole and the citizenry, majority of them are being assigned now to monitor certain individuals in the country. Because the government and the security people are picking up signals every now and then that it's likely certain youth might rebel. This is a common knowledge within the security sector. And it's not because of anything, because of the economic situation in the country. And instead of using those security personnel to take care of the country as a whole, they are now spending our resources on certain individuals because of the threat that they are picking up as far as the economic situation in the country is concerned. So if the government is listening and their representatives are listening, they should focus on addressing the problem that the country is facing, rather than putting these security experts on these single individuals and leaving their national assignments behind. We don't want this to happen. If they themselves are picking up the signal that the extravagant life of the president is serving as a national security threat to the country, they should work on that one. And all of us will be in peace, because no single person wants to be under a threat. And that will never happen if the president is listening. Because if the president is not listening, I don't know where the threat is coming from before they begin to allocate individual security officers to certain individual people. In security, we call it radar. It's like you're putting a radar on somebody. Before you can put the radar on somebody, it means you have identified that person as a threat or as a gain or as a something. So we want this to be watched by the president and his security team. Thank you.
Thank you. So some brief comments on our last topic. I have 4 minutes more to go. So I will start with Honorable Kodobisa. You have been in this position before. So just briefly, are these expected?
The violence that has characterized the announcement, is that what you mean?
Yes. What we are seeing post the announcement of MMDC nominees.
Yeah, it is normally expected, but not in the magnitude that we see, happening anytime President Akufo-Addo comes out with his list. We are much surprised that the long delay that has characterized this announcement was attributed to, all-room work, behind the scene work, the proper consultation, deeper consultation when he came under fire for unduly delaying the process, they were quick to defend themselves that it is better to delay and come out with a list that will lower party faithfuls' agitation and violence. Lo and behold, what are we seeing? You see, so our president, I don't know, he is just there to dilute our democracy, water down our democracy to the extent that the value we place and the premium we place on our participatory democracy is being thrown to the dogs by Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Why? Because if you can come out after 9 good months of doing a thorough investigation analysis and then a background check and all of that, so that you come out with the best, only for
Hello, Nombo.
that they have proposed the election of MMDCs and the NDC has stood against it. But that is not the case. You know, they had wanted to fool the NDC and the nation. When NDC was saying that, yes, we have also proposed the election of MMDC, but the modality is different. And so let us have a thorough dialogue on it, a thorough consultation, thorough, a mutual understanding on it. They wanted to bulldoze their way through. And the NDC in parliament and outside parliament was there to hold them in check, to tell them that, look, you cannot go your way. This time, we are ready to keep you in check. And that is why they have failed woefully. And he was using it to punish, in his thinking, he was punishing Ghanaians. That, yes, I wanted the MMDC to be elected, you refused, and now when they are not being named, you are saying that it is the president. If you are heeded to my call by doing so. So he was using it as a punitive measure on Ghanaians to show us that, yes, he wanted to let MMDCs get to refuse. And so I think that it's a monumental failure. And the earlier this government is thrown away and a proper government comes in place. If I say thrown away in 2024, I don't want them to come after me. Now that Dr. Heto is saying they are allocating one security to one man, I don't want them to allocate it to me. But in 2024, they will be booted out.
I'm sure we'll have the opportunity of conversing on this further next week because
I very much wish to.
Within the week, indications have been given that a lot more of the assemblies will have the opportunity of confirming or rejecting the president nominees. But thank you. Let me jump to
I'm grateful.
Mr. Wajeto. Your brief comments on what you see so far. Nomination of MMDCs was supposed to have been a thorough job done, yet after the job was done, the president then goes to appoint people who were not even suggested or recommended.
Yeah, as you rightly said, this topic is so packed and charged, and it is really still unfolding that in view of the time constraints that we have, it will not permit me to expatiate adequately on the issues. So I would look forward to this topic being brought up next week. But in brief, I mean, once again, they have just muddled the whole thing. And it just shows their total lack of readiness, lack of consultation, incompetence as an administration. Because if you waited for this long to start naming your DCs and touted it for the fact that you were doing consultations, and all these people who did not even apply for are being nominated, and those who applied for and various lists that came out earlier on had them there and they are not there. Even the management of their own information is problematic. And that is why all these leaks of lists and names and all that is a total mess, But there's so much that can be discussed, but I don't. Oh, sorry. Did you hear my submission?
Yes, I did. I did hear. Just lost you at some point, but thank
Hello.
you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Did you hear my submission?
Yeah. Yes, I said I did. I did.
Okay, great.
Yeah. I'm sure, like you said, that there's a lot more to be talked about. Thank you, Mr. Wajeto.
Yes. Thank you.
Doc, you have the last word.
Yeah, thank you very much. For me, Honorable said it's expected, but the magnitude was extreme. I agree on that side. But you know what? One thing that also was a reason for the delay, as allegedly indicated to me, was the fact that this time around, the people who were recommended, there's expectation that a certain amount of money should be paid by those who were recommended. And according to sources, it looks like allegedly some of them were found difficult to raise the said money because it's huge enough that some of them cannot raise. So it happens that even some of them who are not nominated but can pay the money, who were not suggested or recommended but can pay the money. If there's a nominated person or suggested person or recommended person who cannot pay the money, that person will replace you. So I think at the end of the day, it is more about money than doing a diligence to the thing. And that is how come even they claim that they spend a lot of time because they want to do a good diligence to the nomination and the selection process. They ended up even now nominating persons who were not suggested or recommended by the same committee for whom they say they are spending time. Okay, so there are many reasons, but like we said, we need to go deeper into this. There are many issues we need to discuss about this. And I will not mind my words to bring out what is on the ground. I will tell you everything. Because I know individuals who were involved, they were recommended. At the end of the day, these individuals' name did never appear in the nomination. So the question is, what happens? So what then is the work of the committee that was put in place to do this work for the president? What it means is that the president put aside some of the recommendations and decided that, for me, this is the person I want to work with. And when that happened, how do you take this exercise serious? And I'm very sure I'm not the only person who is aware that people who are not even suggested or recommended were finally put on the nomination list.
And you're suggesting that from the information available to you, some of them didn't. Yes. Their name didn't appear because they were supposed to pay some money which they didn't pay.
That's the information I received. Yes. They said there's a cap. There was a cap. That if you are competent to do this job, you need to put this cap down. And some of them were not able to raise it. That's the information reaching me allegedly. Yes. I think next week when we get a chance, we need to go deep into this discussion. And some of them, they understand, they are aware. If we talk to some of those who were not finally selected, for which reason, they will tell you. But the question should be asking ourselves is that committee was formed to do this on behalf of the president. Is that not it? So why should it be after the committee, as usual, that you expect of Nanado? They will now go and set aside some of the names and add their own names after the committee has finished its job. We'll talk more next week. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me once again say condolences to the guys I work with in the US, and also condolences to the bigger NDC family on the loss of Madame Jigbodiacha. Of course, that week when she passed on, we also lost Abba Bejiwado. So two very powerful women at once. So our condolences goes out to them. Let me also say a happy birthday to Commodore Obimpe. Commodore Obimpe turns 80 today. So a happy birthday to him. And a happy birthday to a very good friend who when the day started, he was celebrating his birthday and he was confident that he was going to have his father recover from some illness, maybe a few hours after the father passed on. So he's celebrating his birthday today and he's lost his father. We all call him Mr. Chase. So our condolences to you. It's difficult to say happy birthday to you anyway. Our condolences to you on the loss of your father. And also a happy birthday to Mr. George Lawson at Tabuache. Thank you very much for making time to join us today on the show. A big thank you to my panel for today. Always wonderful to have Mr. Eric Wajeto on the show. So I've had him on the show for the second time. He's a business executive and director of finance of the NDC Pro Forum. Mr. Eric Wajeto, wonderful to have him as always. And always a pleasure to speak to Honorable Isaac Kodobisa, who is a former municipal chief executive Ho Municipal Assembly, and the NDC Constituent Secretary for Ho Central. And then my very good friend, Dr. Justice Moses Kwekwaheto, who is a senior lecturer, University of Ghana. He has I usually speak to him on issues of security anyway. So he's someone who I've had a lot of conversations with. A big thank you to all of them. And we are back same time next week with another edition of the show. Let me say a big thank you to the group that put this show together. Ibadolo Usu. A big thank you to Comrade Richard Ahunija. Comrade, good. I think it's afternoon where you are still. So, but good evening from Ghana to you. A good evening to Arnold Apia and the rest of the crew. A good evening to the entire NDC family. It was wonderful seeing Dr. Koma Jehu Apia has been monitoring throughout. Doc, good evening to you. And the show was produced in-house by hey, how come I forgot your name now? Richard Kwanzaa. My name is Sena Nombo. We are back same time next week. Thank you for making time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sena. I thank you to your crew. Sena Nombo. Nombo. Is Nombo?
Ghana member, we are near Peppan training, treasure Ghana man and Pesa morning. Kofi Babone, Memboko Kojani Bonnet, the Masanti Botan nature Ghana man say Munti, Mini, or Brafo me Wafa Hundi, Tomamodi Momu Jumedi Munkunimidi, no say, Yangara assassin, a yabody de Mayan, Mujana Nan Mishagunyade to Homayan, Domian, Guayan, Jayan, a duke, many ones also say, yes, we be a